Hi everyone, and welcome to the Emotional Intelligence Pawdcast. I'm your host, Sada Thompson, founder of EI Evolution, and I am super excited to take you on this incredible journey. We're going to be exploring the transformative world of emotional intelligence and empathy, guided by some truly remarkable humans and their fantastic four-legged friends. In each episode, we'll dive into inspiring and heartwarming stories about our beloved canine companions. We'll discover the unique and magical bonds we share with our dogs and uncover the profound lessons they teach us about understanding and managing our emotions. From tales of loyalty and love to moments of learning and growth, our furry friends have so much to offer when it comes to enhancing our emotional intelligence. We'll also discuss practical tips and insights on how to cultivate empathy and emotional awareness in our daily lives, inspired by the natural wisdom of our dogs. So sit back and relax, maybe even with your playful pup by your side, and join us for an enriching experience that celebrates the incredible ways dogs help us connect more deeply with ourselves and others. Welcome to the Emotional Intelligence Pawdcast.
When they say don't work with children or animals, well, I think we might be in a situation here with beautiful Carlos and Sadie. Sadie, how are you? What is
I'm
happening?
very well, thank you. Carlos is trying to get more treats off of me, and he can't have any more. He's had so many already.
He's seen me already. Well, you can't blame someone for trying, can you? Really?
No, he's quite hard to resist.
Absolutely. So, Sadie, before we hear Carlos's story, let's hear about you and what do you do and what's the story with Carlos?
So my name's Sadie. I am a marketing manager and I live in Southwest London. This is Carlos. Carlos is actually my parents' dog, but I like to consider him to be my dog as well, even though we don't live in the same house usually. Carlos is actually a Battersea rescue dog, and we've had him in our family around 2 years now.
Wow, thank you. Well, he seems to calm down, but you know, when I said the word Sadie, the name Sadie, his ears went up straight away. So I think he's got two mums going on. He's looking very handsome.
Yeah, I think so.
What breed is he? Tell us a bit about his breed.
So he's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Yeah, he's a Staffy. We've had lots of Staffies in our family. Carlos is our third Staffy and the first boy Staffy we've had.
Okay.
He's really staring me down right now.
He's staring you down. Is that if you don't give him treats, there's going to be trouble? Is that what's going on?
I think so. He's got both his feet on my leg and he's just staring into
Okay. Oh dear. So you don't have a dog, but you're at your mum and dad's, you're dog sitting, you're looking after him right now.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about his backstory then. You mentioned that you had him from Battersea. What was the process? What happened?
So we were looking for a dog, like a family dog, for a little while after we lost our last dog, Bella. Carlos came up on the Battersea website, which I check very regularly, and he just looked like the perfect match. So my mum and I kind of wrote a cover letter, which I don't think you have to do to rescue a dog from Battersea, but we were so desperate to get him that we sent in a letter with all of our Staffy experience, and applied via their website, and heard back the following day. My mum had a couple of interviews on the phone, lots of discussions about his very individual needs, and then we met him about 4 days later and brought him home the same day, which is amazing. Very lucky.
So let me just check with what you just said. I think you've said that you wrote a covering letter. So a bit like sending your CV, you wrote a letter of plea and negotiation and influence, it sounds like. I wonder how many of those Battersea get. Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, it sounds a bit crazy. Well, we had been looking for a dog for quite a long time and sort of struggling to find the perfect Staffy, because my parents weren't keen to have one that was really young or anything like that, and they were looking for a relatively dinky Staffy that wasn't too big, that they could manage and everything. And he just looked like the perfect match. So we were just really keen to secure him, and that we did with our cover letter. It's probably not the typical way people do things, to be honest, but it worked. So
Wow, there's a strategy right there for all of our listeners, right? And so your mum and dad, how does it work with Carlos? Does he follow them around all the time? Does he not leave them alone? Does he love them equally, do you think? What's the story with him and his relationship with them?
yeah, so Carlos is very, very needy, like most Staffies. I mean, you can see him right now. He is like your little shadow. He's quite fair, I would say. He loves his mum and his dad and me all very equally. Doesn't really matter who he's with as long as he's with someone, which is really nice. He does seem to be especially fond of my dad, which is really nice of my dad, but he's pretty easygoing as long as he's not left alone. He has like very bad separation anxiety, which is one of the reasons that they were looking for quite a specific home of people who could be at home with him pretty much all of the time, because it's a bit of a tricky one with Carlos on that front.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so for those of you who are just listening in and not watching the video, Carlos has been kind of nuzzling into Sadie and basically just taking charge. Before we started recording, he was pretty much licking your face and
Yeah.
wanting really to take the headphones off. So he definitely wanted to be in the action. So tell us a little bit now about the impact that rehoming from Battersea had on you, because you did a number of things, didn't you, as a consequence of that experience?
Yeah, so I've always been really fond of the charity. Often seen it on the telly with Paul O'Grady, Love of Dogs and things like that. And I live in Southwest London, spend lots of time around Battersea area. So yeah, I knew about the charity and all the amazing stuff they did. And then obviously we got the wonderful Carlos, and we're just so grateful to the charity for looking after him during his time of need and setting him up and looking after so many animals in similar situations. So to give something back, I actually ran the London Marathon for Battersea Dogs Home in April, which was amazing. It was an incredible experience. And during that as well, I got to visit Battersea for a training day and got a tour and everything, which was really, really cool. So I've been fortunate to have gone a couple of times now.
Right. And so how much training did you do for the marathon? Because I've got some people I know that have run the marathon and they're doing the whole, I've done this much distance, now I've done this much distance, now I'm not going to run too much, I'm going to eat some bananas. I mean, what's it all about, Sadie? How was that?
Yeah, so it's like, I think I was training for around 20 weeks. I think the typical training box 16 weeks, but yeah, around 20 weeks. So basically post Christmas was training time.
Right.
So yeah, lots of rainy runs in the winter, but it was really good and very worth it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, congratulations for doing the London Marathon and
Thank
double
you.
congratulations for doing it for Battersea especially. So Carlos, here's the big reveal. That wasn't his first name, was it? He
No.
adopted a new name. So would you like to share with the listeners what his first name was and perhaps the process you went through with him a new name?
Yeah, so interestingly, when we went to pick him up from Battersea, found out his name was actually Chaos, which I think made my parents quite nervous. But Battersea decided to change his name because they thought that no one in their right mind would rescue a dog called Chaos, which I think is fair enough. So they changed it to Carlos, which at first we thought was quite a strange name, but now we actually think it suits him perfectly.
Yeah.
He is such a Carlos. So yeah, I think it's a great name.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. And then as far as the quirky things that he does, is there anything that you'd feel comfortable sharing about the kind of things that he gets up to? Because I understand that they're quite an empathetic breed. I know he is perhaps a little bit boisterous on occasion, but he absolutely does show a great deal of affection. So what kind of things are typical Carlos behaviours?
Yeah, so besides the cleanliness, he's extremely clingy. I've never known such a clingy dog in all my life, as in you will literally sit down on the sofa and he's instantly on your lap, on your chest. He's very, very really into physical touch. From he's touching me right now, like. But he also has some other strange things he does. He likes nibble or earlobes, which not everyone likes. It's a bit weird. He nibbles earlobes, which is quite a strange thing. Apparently they do it if they were taken from their mums too young. So that's another interesting thing he does. Also, if he's left alone, he likes to rearrange soft furnishings as well. So if you leave him in the lounge whilst you go out, he'll remove all of the cushions from the sofas and put them on the floor and just cause chaos, basically. He removes like things from the cupboards and stuff like that. He doesn't destroy anything, he just puts everything on the floor. But we just put him in a little cage thing when we go out, and it seems to solve the problem.
Well, no,
yeah.
And I've watched a few in preparation for this podcast. I watch a few videos where people have set up cameras all around houses and left their dog to get on with it. And the things that they do, it's fascinating. How much they walk around the house, how much sniffing they do, how much going to sit by the door and then going off to do something else and then coming back to the door and then running around again. It is fascinating. I'm always curious to know what they get up to. So it's you come back to rearrange furniture. Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's very strange, but it's just the way he is.
Wow, indeed, and we love him for it. So you don't live with Carlos, but you live in South London. What do you do to get your fix? Because I can see how much you love that dog, and I know, of course, how much you love dogs anyway. So how do you kind of scratch that itch?
Yeah, so I do come home very regularly to see my parents and the dog, mainly the dog.
Those of you that are listening, that was in quotation marks. I'm going to see my parents, which is AKA, hi, I'm here. Where's the dog?
Where's the dog? Yeah. But I also use an app called Rover, and Rover is basically if you're a dog sitter, you're someone who loves dogs, you can offer to look after people's dogs for a fee. So I have quite a few dogs in our local area that I look after, take on walks and do daycare with and things like that, which is great fun. Wow. So a bit of extra pocket money, and also it's just really nice to spend some time with dogs. So yeah, really enjoy that.
I didn't know about that. I knew about Borrow My Doggy because I signed up to Borrow My Doggy, and it was one of those where it was like, wow, 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 for months, nothing. And then it came to the summertime when, we're going on holiday, we need someone to look after a dog. And I was like inundated with requests. So I'm like, hold on a minute, this is like feast or famine. I need a regular with a dog. I don't suddenly want to get booked up for the whole summer. So I'll take a look at Rover. That sounds really great.
Yeah, it's really, really good. You get reviews and stuff, like a bit like Airbnb, really. Yeah, I've had really good experiences with it. Looked after some lovely dogs.
Yeah. Which kind of dogs have you looked after, out of curiosity?
I've looked after a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever. That was a really interesting dog that I looked after in Southfield.
Right, say that again, but really slowly, because that had at least 7 different names in it. What?
A Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever.
Wow, 5. What does that even mean?
Basically, like a very specific sort of retriever. They're sort of like a gingery colour. Oh, yeah, like a gingery colour, and they have a small ears. They look slightly different to your typical goldeny retriever. But it was a lovely dog, and loads of cockapoos as well. Also a Maltese called Toffee.
And how well behaved are these pets?
Better than Carlos.
I'm not sure we're raising the bar that high, though, so it could be quite naughty, don't mind me saying. Wow, okay. Well, that's fantastic, isn't it? So what do you do? Do you just take them for a walk? Do they come to your house? Where does it start and stop?
Yeah, so usually you put in days on the app that you're free to look after the dog, and then you kind of you might arrange a little date for you to meet them beforehand in the park or something. And then once it's all firmed up and you've agreed to the daycare or a walk or whatever, you either go and pick the dog up, or the dog will be brought to your house. Usually my dogs come in the morning, and then they get picked up at 4:30 and when their owners finish work.
Lovely. So like doggy daycare at Sadie's house.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So the kind of killer question from my point of view is, what are the main differences between the breeds as far as behavior, maybe empathy or emotional intelligence? How do they differ, these different breeds that you're exposed to?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, as I said earlier, Staffies are very sensitive, and I think they're very emotionally in tune with humans for that reason. Um, I think Carlos is very receptive to like how we're feeling. Like if you're a bit sad, he'll come sit in your lap and things like that. So I think they can just get a sense of that. I think it's difficult for me to comment on the other dogs I've looked after because I don't have the same relationship with them as I do with Carlos. He obviously knows me very well.
Yeah.
But I would say that as family dogs, I think most dogs are quite in tune with humans and how they're feeling and things like that, and they do react to that. But yeah, I know for a fact that Carlos is very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
And is that so you've had, this is your third Staffy,
Mm.
the sensitivity to how you're feeling and the kind of proactive response to it, is that a common thing across the breed?
Yeah, very, very much so. I think it's a bit different. The Carlos is the first boy Staffy we've had. The
Okay.
previous two were both girls. The girl Staffies we had were emotional in a sort of different way. So they were quite like sulky. Sometimes if you would leave them alone, they would sulk and things like that. But they were all still very emotionally in tune. Like if you're upset or angry, they would definitely be able to tell and kind of respond accordingly. Yeah, and Carlos does all of that too. Staffies are very, very bright. So I think that really helps. Yeah.
So let me just get this straight. So when your other two dogs were, I don't know, feeling a bit stroppy, what would they do? Like ignore you or give you the silent treatment, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I guess it's both of those things really. So you might, if Ruby, our first dog, was very sulky, she had a lot of sass and personality. If you left her alone and then got back home, she'd be very happy to see you, and then she would sulk away and sit in the corner of the sofa and sort of face away from you. And you'd have to go and like give her lots of fuss to win her back. Don't really have that with Carlos. He's sort of forgotten about it within 2 seconds of you coming home, and he's your best friend again. But I don't think he's quite as smart as the last two we've had, to be honest.
So what I'm reading into that then is that they probably doesn't sound very nice, but they're kind of manipulating you a little bit, because by looking away and neglecting to give you any attention, you're going to them and they're like, yeah, I know who's in charge. That's how it sounds. Crikey.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
very,
bright.
very, very bright. Yeah, very bright. But we love all that. Like we love the fact that Staffies have so much personality. They're almost like little people. It makes them very, very fun to be around, and they're absolutely hilarious. So yeah, we love all that.
And what's Carlos like with other dogs?
Very, very friendly. In fact, sometimes a bit over friendly.
Okay,
So
what
some
does that
dogs will
like?
kind of growl at him because he comes on a bit too strong.
Ah,
And because of the breed, some owners are a bit wary of him. Not
right.
that they need to be, because he doesn't have a bad bone in his body, and he's very submissive. You know, with any other dogs, if they come along and they're a bit bigger than him or anything, he just rolls onto his back and gives up
Okay.
very easily.
Yeah.
But some people are a bit wary. You know, sometimes we even get people pick their dogs up and things when he walks past, which is a bit of a shame, but it doesn't seem to bother him too much. Yeah.
Mm. So I was wondering if he was going after them to try and nibble their ears, and they were like, "Watch out for that dog, that Carlos dog, because he's going to go
Yeah.
right into your ears, mate. Keep them covered."
Yeah. Yeah, he does do that with dogs locally that he's very friendly
Oh, he
with.
does.
Yeah.
I was
He
only
nibbles, yeah,
joking.
like the scruffs of the back of their neck and grabs their ears and things. And they're, you know, we're like, oh, sorry, your dog's now all soggy.
Oh, fantastic. So just on that, I just want to explore one more thing, which is the misunderstanding, the fact that we perceive that breed to be something that it's not, and how that kind of plays out for us humans. You know, we get a perception of someone who looks a particular way, who's got a bit of a bad rap. Where does this bad rap for Staffies come from?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, Staffies are very powerful dogs and they have a bit of a mean look about them. I don't think they're mean, but I have had lots of Staffies. It's different for me. And I think some people might decide to get a Staffie to make them look tough. And unfortunately, I think unfortunately that means often they fall into homes that aren't maybe the most loving, and encourage bad habits. And as powerful dogs, they do need to be treated with care, but also with caution and very well trained and things like that. I mean, as I said, Carlos, she doesn't have a bad bonus body, would never bite anyone or anything like that. But if any dog was encouraged to kind of have that bad behavior, then it could be damaging of a dog of this stature. And I think that's the main issue here. It's nothing to do with dogs. They aren't born bad. They aren't born violent or anything like that. It's just their owners. It all comes down to that training and things like that. Yeah, that's all I would say.
So there's that nature nurture thing going on, I think. I mean, we do know that some dogs, their DNA does mean that they have been bred, they have been designed for a particular function. But I do feel for Staffies, I have to say, because I think in my experience of them, and I've met a few, they're cuddly, warm, they're great with kids, and yet they do get this bad rap through the nurturing. It's that whole nature nurture thing, isn't it? The environment that they're in, the way that they're treated. Is it hardly surprising that they do behave the way they do when they're treated the way they are? I suppose that's what we're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would say that, talking to people who don't know dogs or don't know Staffies, they're all, oh gosh, you've got a Staffie, sometimes a bit taken aback that we would pick this breed. But then speaking to anyone who has Staffies or knows a Staffie, they're like, we love Staffies. Staffies the best. They have such a bad rap. It's so unfair. So very polarizing opinions on the Staffie scale. You got like real lovers and people who might think they really hate them, but perhaps are just uneducated or haven't actually met them. They are amazing dogs, and yeah, they are just very, very misunderstood, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But hopefully dogs like Carlos can start to change the tide on these opinions a bit.
Well, I'm loving the fact that he's got his Battersea bandana on as well. And for those of you that are watching, you'll see a kind of blue scarf on him. So he's wearing the brand with pride, always coming back up now, all more treats.
Trying to show off the bandana. There we go.
There he is. Oh, well done. So any kind of like final comments you'd like to say, what it's like to have a dog in your life, what dogs mean for humanity, anything you'd like to add on that point?
Yeah, I think having a dog is the best thing in the world. They're here when you get home from work, school, or you've had a rough day, and they're always the same. They're always really happy to see you. I think it's very difficult to be sad around a dog. Like, they instantly make you feel better. Just getting outside, walking them, cuddling them is just all good, wholesome stuff. So yeah, we'll always have dogs in my life now. So yeah, I think they're amazing.
So that's a big thumbs up from Sadie. And it's interesting.
Yes.
I think I read this actually. I didn't hear him say it, but I read something about Ricky Gervais, the comedian, who says that he has cats, so he hasn't got a dog. But if he ever gets a need for the fix, he goes for a walk around Hampstead Heath and he just ends up smiling and laughing at all of the dogs that just walk past. I mean, partly you might think that if they recognise him, they might be wondering what's going on. But equally, I think he does talk about how you can never be sad when you see them strut along or run about or floppy ears or waggy tail or whatever it might be. It's just impossible to stay moody or fed up when you see those canine creatures.
Yeah, big boost of serotonin hanging out with a dog for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Sadie and Carlos. Thank you so much for being our guest, and utterly brilliant. Thank you for all of your insight.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Thanks again.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
So that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If we've not connected already, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there most days. You'll find me under CXEI Sandra. And also, if you want to find out a bit more about my work, then you can pop along to my website, www.eievolution.com. One final thing, and in the spirit of customer experience and feedback, I wonder if you might consider leaving a review on Spotify. I'll leave that one with you. So until the next time, be well and be pawsome. Ta-ra!